So there is a particular type of function which can actually be modified for each particular country, which shows kind of how fast unemployment is decreasing in that country. It's called job matching function, and it brings two different variables together as independent variables. One is U, which is unemployed people. The other one is V, vacant jobs. And you have coefficients about them. And basically, if they are both 0.5, that means actually when you have equal number of vacancies and unemployment relatively, then the job matching is faster. If vacancies have higher coefficient, that basically means that when you have a high number of vacancies and lower number of unemployed people, in that case, the matching will be faster. The other way around, if the unemployment is relatively higher, in that case, has a higher coefficient. In that case, when you have more unemployed people compared with the vacancies, basically, matching will be higher. And as I said before, number of unemployed people depend on first how many people are fired and how many people enter to the labor force. And using matching function, you can calculate the steady state. I mean, at the steady state, the number of people who are entering labor force and fired should be equal to the matching rate, basically. If you don't have any new person who is entering to the labor force or being fired, in that case, matching function basically tells us that the number of unemployed people and also the vacancies will decline. They might go all the way to 0 if unemployed people and vacancies are equal. Of course, if one of them is larger than the other one, if unemployment is larger than the vacancies, then at the equilibrium, as I said, no new person is fired, no new job is created, no new person enters the labor market, no one dies and exits from the labor market. If this is the case, in that case, if number of unemployed people are more than vacancies, in that case, at the end, some people will remain unemployed. So you can, as I said, by using matching function, calculate the steady state conditions. And there is also a specific type of curve called Beverage Curve, which shows the relation between the vacant jobs and the unemployed people. You can see it here. At, for example, this part, job opening rate, that's actually percentage of jobs that are open per total number of jobs, and unemployment rate, that's percentage of jobs that are open per number of workforce. If unemployment rate is higher, that means you have more unemployed people than the jobs open. And mostly, as you see here, it is almost equal at this pre-recession area part, but then even at the pre-recession, you can see that unemployment rate is higher than the job opening rate. And then at the recession, especially, you have unemployment rates rising drastically while job opening rates goes down, and then you have same unemployment rate but a relatively higher job opening rate, maybe because I don't know, that can be different hypotheses, but one hypothesis might be even though you have unemployed people, their absorption might be more difficult for the new jobs that are opened because they might have lost connections, lost some skills. So the new employers, when they find people to new jobs, they might be reluctant to take those people who stayed unemployed during the crisis, maybe. But there can be other explanations also. So we have discussed already the stability case. Now we can switch to the measurement of unemployment. And the most obvious and most used term is unemployment rate, and its length is also used. Average length is usually used. Unemployment rate is, in order to be within the unemployment rate, the unemployment people group defined by unemployment rate, you should be looking for a job and not employed. Even if you are employed for 1 hour per week, then you are employed, even if you are also looking for a job. So it is calculated by dividing unemployed people to the total labor force. If this rate is high, up to a certain point, maybe it might also benefit, as I said before, the society, because people, when they stay longer unemployed, they might find jobs where they are more productive, basically, and that might be better for the economy in terms of the total level of production that is being produced. Of course, that might also lead to increase the wage of those people because they have a higher bargaining power. They are able to now look for a better job. That distributions, in terms of distribution side, that power to look longer for a job might be hurting the economy, because in that it is the investments are done by the companies, not the workers, basically. The investments that ultimately affect the production. And even investments are done by the workers to own their skills, if we take them as investments. Whether or not to use those investments, those skills to produce in production is also a decision of the employers. So employers should be doing well to produce more, basically, benefiting from this process of employing those skilled workers. So we have already discussed that, there are different groups: discouraged workers, marginally attached group. Marginally attached group is actually, they are people who find jobs occasionally, a weekly job maybe, then they stay for 3 weeks unemployed, then they find another job for 2-3 days, then again stay unemployed. So they now and once in a while find jobs. But then remain unemployed, then find a new job, but they mostly stay still unemployed. But they are also at certain frequency, they are also find some temporary jobs. Part-time workers, they are working, but they are working less than full-time, which might be daily part-time workers. That might also mean that weekly part-time workers working, for example, only 2 days. It can also even be monthly, yearly part-time workers working in certain seasons. So these people are not part of the unemployment rate, except the marginal workers who are looking for a job. If they have found, the ones that are working are not part of the unemployed group. But those people are also reflecting, now you might say potentially, the people who can find potentially better jobs, permanent jobs for marginal workers, full-time jobs for the part-time workers, and any job for the discouraged workers. So ideally, these people are not fulfilling their potential, all of them. In a better job market, they could be full participants of the labor market. Employed labor force, not labor market. they might be considered part of the labor market, but in a better economic conditions, they might be full participants of the employed labor force. As a result, they are also, well, this is the United States. There are statistics that include them to the unemployed group. This is United States. This is 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is crisis period, basically. The official unemployment rate is basically starts 4.6, 4.6, 5.8, 9.3, 9.6. When you discourage workers, at least officially, I mean, it asks to the people whether this is a good method or not can be discussed. But if you use this as a method, it was 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. It has increased to 0.4 and 0. I believe 7. When you add marginal attached workers, you have another 0.6, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, and 0.8% added to the unemployment rate. 11.1. There are kind of, well, you might say relatively small additions. Still, they mean something, but they are small additions. The relatively larger addition came when you are adding part-time workers, and these are part-time workers who are unwilling to work part-time. I mean, people might work also part-time because they might work, they might want to work part-time. These are the ones that actively stated we don't want to work part-time. We actually want to work full-time. When you add them, 5.5 rate increased to 8.2, which means you have a 2.7% of workforce falls in that category. And then it is 2.8. Then it increases to 3.7. Then it increases to 5.7. It's almost, I mean, half of this rate, the 10.5 rate. And even more significant when you look to the official rate. And it has increased to, 5.6 basically. So it's an important, it can be an important rate, as you see. I mean, especially at the time of the crisis, its relative proportion might be, I mean, its relative proportion actually is almost, in both cases for all of these groups, has remained pretty stable, which means, well, people, the ratio of part-time workers don't necessarily increase compared with the ratio of officially unemployed people or discouraged people or marginal attached people. That is according to these measurements, but especially involunteer part-time workers are an important group in the workforce. Discouraged workers and marginal attached group, they exist and they are not totally insignificant, but their importance is, you might still say, small. Okay, now unemployment rate for different countries. Here, actually, the most interesting case is Japan, which starts with 2% and then increases to 4%, which is the case because in Japan, mostly people were finding jobs right after the high school, and they usually stay for their whole life in the single job. But there was a crisis starting with 90s in Japan, which actually forced Japan to make the market more flexible, fire more workers, and many young people are not able to find jobs there, which increased the unemployment rate from 2% to 4%. I mean, in Turkey it is 10%, just if you want to. Even at the time when economy was doing good, it was around 10%. Slightly, I mean, it has fallen to 9% for a while. Australia, Canada, you can see, I mean, well, let's discuss them in the next part, since we are close to the 50 minutes mark.